How's it? Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Shooting the Shit with Jeremy. As always, I'm super stoked, super blessed, super thankful just to have you guys downloading us, sharing us, checking us out on all our social media platforms. We're now on TikTok also too, guys. So that's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, pretty much everything we're on now. And you can also find us on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon. We're all over the place. So please, share our show. If you like what I have to say, you think I could help somebody else, share the show. If you don't like what I have to say and you guys just want a good laugh and more shit to talk about me, please share the show. Either way, I'm stoked. I'm super blessed and thankful for each and every one of you guys. Also, can never forget the text message, phone calls, and those of you guys that are stopping me at Home Depot. Also, giving me words of encouragement and telling me what I should and shouldn't do and all that kind of stuff. I like it. Like I say, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So keep it coming, guys. I really appreciate it. You guys are going to hear a little bit of different, some more clicking, some more ruffling of the papers. Those of you guys watching the videos are going to see me kind of jumping back and forth and pushing them other buttons. That is because I'm trying to do an audio and video recording of this episode tonight so we could have a little bit of extra stuff for our YouTube channels and just learn and get better for you guys, give you guys a better experience. So that's what that is. So I apologize. Hopefully the engineer can clean up the background noise and the clicking and all that. But we'll try our best. We'll see what it is. Also, you might hear some weird noises, different sounds, and all kinds of stuff going on in the background. Could be the kids, could be the dogs, could be me scratching my balls, who knows. But if you live in Hawaii, chances are you probably have some tweaker neighbors that live next to you. Unfortunately, I have two, one on each side of me. So if you hear some weird stuff, it's not me putting peanut butter between my toes for my dog or that kind of stuff. It's who knows what's going on, but as long as they stay on their side and I stay on my side, shouldn't have any issues. With that said, let's get on with the show, get into the show, get on, whatever, however you guys want to call it. What I wanted to touch base on tonight is basically, I keep thinking with myself from the beginning of this podcast, when we first started even before we even recorded our first episode, I would think and ask myself, what qualifies me to be on a podcast? What qualifies me to give advice? Why do I think I'm good enough to give any advice? Why do I think I'm different than anybody else and I should take on this venture? I never really wanted to come across as I'm trying to tell you what to do. I never wanted to come across as arrogant. I never wanted to come across as anything that I'm not. It's just basically a straight shooter. And when it came to why and how and all that kind of stuff, I realized that my stories, my background, what I've been through has allowed me to look at things in different lights, look at things in different styles, and experience things a lot differently than most people. And with that being, having different experiences, maybe I can explain it in a different way. Like I've said in previous podcasts that I pride myself in trying to explain stuff in plenty different ways, right? And try and get to the same end game. That compiled with just trying to help people out and trying to, tell people it's okay that they're going through a situation, that everybody goes through ups and downs. Everybody's gone through some sort of downtime in their life. If you haven't gone through a downtime in your life, you're lying to yourself, you're lying to everybody else. The difference is what you went through in that downtime. Everybody has it. We could sit here all day and say, I went through this, you went through that, I went through this. But the common denominator is that we had a downtime. We had some negative thoughts. We had some, whatever your downtime is for you. Everyone is different. And the thing about it is how you pick yourself up and how you move forward. And there's a lot of people out there that I know that are either ashamed of their downtimes for whatever it is, don't want to talk about their downtimes because they don't think it matters. They don't think their story is going to help somebody. They don't, they just, oh, well, I did it. Let's move forward. Let's move on. It is what it is type thing. And I know that because I was that guy. I am that guy. Still to today, I've yet to scratch the surface on the stories and the things that I've been through that could possibly help somebody. If not, maybe it's just therapy for me and I get it off my chest, and it's like whew, that kind of thing. So that's what I think is the reason. No, that's why I know the reason for me doing these podcasts is just to help somebody out, just to show somebody that it's okay to go through these bad times. It sucks, yes, but guess what? Somebody's going through a bad time, been through a bad time. And whether you know it or not, there's somebody there for you. There is somebody that's gone through those feelings that you're gone through that maybe to help you. So, not trying to go down a whole sad wah 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 and pick yourself up and inspirational speech and stuff like that on this one, but excuse me, on this episode. However, that's kind of the route we're going to take tonight. And I say that because leads me into this question that I got asked again and really, really, really hit home to me this time for the first time in my life. It hit home and I had an answer. I had a non-cookie cutter, no bullshit answer. And that question is, how did your heart issues affect your life growing up? How do your heart issues affect your life now? How do you think your heart issues are going to affect your life in the future? And for those of you guys that don't know, go back, check out a few other episodes, and I'll talk about how I was born with heart issues and had 4 open heart surgeries and all that kind of stuff. But you got to go back, listen to the other episodes. And my response to that question every time was, I don't know, it is what it is. I don't know any better. That's how I was born. That's how I was raised. I didn't have any other options. I didn't know any better, right? But when I said it this last time, probably about 6, 8 weeks ago, I said it was my answer that I've been saying for 42 years now. It just didn't sound right. It didn't feel right. And I for days I thought about it. I thought about it. It's like, why do I give that answer? Why do I give this cookie cutter answer? I should have that. It just didn't feel like the right and sound like the right answer all of a sudden. And I thought about it and thought about it. And I came to the realization, as weird as this is going to sound to a lot of you people, that my heart issues have positively affected my life. Not negatively, positive. My heart issues, I can honestly tell you, were positive. It has been positive, will be positive, is a positive thing that has happened to me in my life. Yes, the negative of me having to have open heart surgery. Yes, I had health issues where I couldn't, play sports, or I wasn't allowed to go play with my friends. There's negative stuff that happened in the past. Things that happened in the past that at the time when I was a kid or in that situation that I would be like, why me? This is so dumb. Not everybody go through this. Why do I got to go through this kind of thing? But overall, it was a positive influence. It was a positive thing that happened in my life. And I'm going to break it down to why I think it's a positive and why I know it's a positive thing. It was a positive thing in my life. It made me who I am today because it taught me how to be thankful. It taught me how to be blessed. It taught me how to take one day at a time. It taught me to never second guess life. Don't underappreciate anything. Don't wish ill will on anybody. Don't guess. You think you're being mean, or excuse me, not guess, but don't be mean to other people because you don't understand what they're going through in their life. Don't guess and think and that, hey, they're all right. They're, look at them. They're playing football. He's totally fine. You don't know what's going on in his head. So it opened up this whole spectrum of things for me to take in. And I was looking at life through a whole nother lens at such an early age that it made me think and understand stuff at a younger age than most people now don't even understand, or that can't be thankful for, that aren't blessed to be alive, or like weird stuff. Like, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but one of the best smelling things in the world to me is right before it rains or right after it rains and fresh cut grass. You don't realize that I don't like putting numbers to anything, but most people don't smell that or don't realize what they're smelling until you've had a quote unquote near death experience. One of my heart surgeries, the first thing I remember smelling when my sister was driving me somewhere. I don't think I was already home. We were leaving, but was somebody cut the grass, and it was the best smelling thing I've ever smelled in my life. To this day, I remember that. But that's not what I'm trying to get to, and what I'm trying to talk about is the because of those situations that I was forced to in my life. I'm going to say forced to because I was born into these places and things that I had to follow these rules and regulations, couldn't exert myself, couldn't play contact sports. I couldn't actually, that's kind of the main too. When I was younger, I maybe there was more, but my parents and grandparents and family kind of let me do my own thing for the most part. I mean, I had to go to the dentist. I take penicillin. If I got a slight fever, I had to take penicillin. So they tried to kill anything that got into me real quick. But for the most part, like I ate whatever I wanted to. I didn't really get to play any sports when I was younger. It wasn't until I got to eighth grade, ninth grade, 10th grade, I started playing sports, paddling, swimming, that kind of stuff. But that was my life. I had don't exert yourself. If you start breathing heavy, stop. If you start sweating, stop. It wasn't any different. That's what it was. Yeah, it sucked watching my friends play, watching my friends run, watching my friends ride bike, and it was life for me, and I hated it at that time. But I didn't realize that it forced me to like, hey, how can I still be a part of their group or their have fun with them without having to do the same stuff as them? So it made me be creative. And those of you guys that really know me know my brain can kind of just go all over the place, and I can be super creative with little things mind wise. Not I can't build shit. I'm not trying to, build Noah's Ark or anything like that, but I can definitely, find the fun and humor in a lot of different things. And almost everything I can find the fun and humor in. And that's because I had to, because I was in such a dark and sad place when I was younger that I just wanted to have fun, and I had to figure out how to have fun with the friends that I had. Now, with that said, I still to this day am so thankful for my friends that stuck around. Like they didn't have to stay around and like, hey, let's help out the boy with the heart problem. This Holly boy, you get heart problem, fuck him, we're out. Hey, they included me in everything. One of the stories not too long ago, we were at a gathering. One of my good friends from little kid time moving to the mainland, and his brother there was talking stories like, "Hey, I give you credit, man. When we was growing up, we'd all be playing tackle football, but you're like, I want to play, but you guys can't tackle me. You got to two-hand touch me." And he's like, "You didn't let it stop you. You were right in the mix with everybody else, but we had to two-hand touch you." And I forgot about that. Like I didn't think about stuff like that. So, and then my mind went down another rabbit hole. Like I said, why do these friends, keep me around? So I'm thankful for you guys. You guys, know who you are. My group of friends from elementary time and growing up, and we're still really good friends to this day. The second part of that is I can't imagine what my family had to go through. My sisters, my parents, my grandparents, my cousins, knowing that they had to watch out for me. My parents used to tell my sisters, give the burden to my sisters about watch your brother. He's got his issues. Watch your brother. Take care of your brother. Watch your brother. Take care of your brother. Like I am so blessed and so thankful that I'm the oldest. My sisters are younger than me. Two younger sisters. I call them my big sisters because they, were my protectors. They were my shoulder to cry on. They were everything to me and my sisters growing up. But having that burden put on you at such a young age to protect your older brother, I couldn't imagine doing that kind of stuff. And then for your parents to go with you to these doctor's appointments and be told that your son has this and your son could die, or your son could do this if we don't do this, and this could happen, da 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 da. And then, relaying that message to your grandparents, your cousins, and all that kind of stuff. I couldn't imagine that kind of pain and agony and confusion. So it still ties into made me who I am today, because I could see the pain and agony, and I can't understand it to this day, but I could see the confusion, the pain and agony in their faces. So I had to make jokes. I had to make light of the situation. I felt I had to make them feel better, that I was going to be okay and the situation was going to be okay. And, once again, taught me how to, find light and make fun of situations, and made me the person I am today. However, there is one thing that almost everybody will tell you about me, if you don't know already, is I am brutally honest. Um, I will, I have this gift for telling you what you need to hear, when you need to hear it, and not make it so cutthroat, I'd like to say, or not so painful. I wasn't always like that. Um, I've gotten a little bit more tactful through the years, but I'm the guy who rips off the band-aid. I don't slowly peel it off. I'm like, hey, you're getting fat. Hey, lay off the drugs, or whatever it is. I haven't always been like that. I've gotten a little bit more in my older years, like once I graduated high school and got into my career, I got a little bit more blunt and a little bit straightforward. I've always kind of been with certain people, I've always been super straightforward, but now it's just like, I don't even care. This is what it is. This is what I feel. This is how it's going to be, da 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 da, cut straightforward. And I just thought it was who I am, which it is, but I never really gave any thought to where it might have came from or how it might have came by, because my family's not like that. My family will beat around the bush until there's no leaves left on the bush at all. They will make innuendos and make jokes and say this and say what they don't want us, what, the opposite of what they mean to say. So I never, never really thought about it for a long time, until I was thinking back about my grandfather on my mom's side, my grandpa John. And on my very first surgery, everybody was, I was 5 years old. Now you got to remember, you go back and listen to those other episodes. 5 years old, I was planning my own funeral. Okay, so that's another thing we could go down, and how I am what I am today, and how I look at things. Looking at death at 5 years old. You've been alive for 5 years and you're already planning your funeral. Anyways, my first surgery, everybody was telling me it's gonna be fine. You're gonna be okay. It's gonna, they're gonna go in. They're gonna do a little procedure. And you get out. And now, don't quote me word for word. It's been 30 something years, but my grandpa John, it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt like hell. They got these chest tubes about as big as my pinky, and he had big hands. If you guys knew my grandpa John, he had really big hands. He was a mason. He's like chest tubes about this big. They go in right inside here, right underneath your rib cage, go all the way up around your heart. They suck out the liquid and blood. My grandfather had bypass surgery, so he knew what he was talking about. He's like, it's gonna hurt like hell. And 5 years old, somebody sat me down, had the balls to sit down a 5-year-old and tell him that it's not all rainbows and unicorns like they're telling you. Be ready, be a big boy, be a man, but be ready. And let me tell you, that is the worst pain to this day I've ever felt in my life. 4 open heart surgeries, I've passed out every time they've done that to me. Pulled the chest tubes out. One time I had 3. Okay. But I finally realized that my brutal honesty came from that, because at the time, I didn't know how much I appreciated that. I didn't know how much that meant to me, that somebody would tell me the truth. I didn't need to know the truth. He didn't have to tell me the truth. He probably shouldn't have told me the truth, but I am so thankful, so thankful that he did. And I get teared up almost every time. This is probably about the 7th or 8th time I'm recording this episode too. And I've said this story in each one, and I've teared up every single time. So that's where I believe my brutal honesty came in, because as much as I didn't need to hear it, I probably didn't deserve to hear it. He told me. And some people need that wake up call, that slap upside the head, that shake them up moment, and trying to be like, guess what? They're not necessarily lying to you, but they're not telling you the whole truth. So that's where my brutal honesty comes from. I believe my brutal honesty started right then and there, shortly after the surgery, obviously. But that's part of who I am, and that's part of my backstory of why I say and do the things I do. Now, just for the sake of telling stories, 4 open heart surgeries, I've learned how to speak my mind, and I'm not scared to say what's on my mind. And I don't want to say necessarily that it's the truth. It usually is the truth, but it might not be so much as it's a truthful thing that I'm telling you. Not that I'm lying, it's just like it's not really facts. It's just, it is what it is. And the reason that I'm kind of going on this little rant as rave is because on my fourth open heart surgery, I had I was basically the guinea pig is the best way to explain it. I had so many doctors standing around me. I had the new doctors coming in, they're interns or they're on their residency or whatever you want to call it. And everything was said and done. I had my tube. I could talk. I was already pulled out. I stood up already. Those you guys know, there's protocols you have to go through before you can, check off the boxes before you can get to the next step before you can go home. And one of the new doctors came in and was like, okay, we're going to get ready to pull your chest tubes. And then, we can go from there. And you're healing recovering really well. And this and that. I'm like, all right, cool. How are you going to do it? And he was like, what? We're just going to pull them out. I'm like, no. You're going to juice me up with medication. You're going to grab one. You're going to grab one. You two are going to hold my shoulders down and you're going to pull them out simultaneously. Because if you're not, I'm going to come off this table. I'm going to fucking kill each and every one of you. And his eyes got big. He kind of turned, I don't want to say white, but he was like shocked. And I was like, he's like, no, we don't have to do that. This is our protocol. I was like, how many of these fucking things have you had done to you? He's like, none. I was like, this is my fourth one. Believe me when I tell you, this is how you're going to do it. This is going to be the easiest and best way to do it. He's like, I was like, I'm not joking. I will figure out a way to come out there and strangle you guys. And he's like, okay, nurse, give him something for the pain. Now, what most people don't know is that this surgery, for some reason, I couldn't take Vicodin, I couldn't take morphine, because it was making me sick. I was vomiting. I was just super allergic reaction to it. So whatever they gave me wasn't the strongest, greatest stuff. And they gave it to me and he's like, all right, you feeling fuzzy and warm? I'm like, yeah. He's like, all right, it's time to roll. I'm like, well, you know what you got to do. One doctor grabbed one doctor grabbed the other. Nurses, somebody was holding me down. I think somebody's holding my legs too. I can't really remember, to be honest with you. And they yanked it out. As soon as they yanked it out, you could hear this like suction, blood and liquid all down. I could feel it all down here. Passed out. Done. Every time. Pass out. Every time they pull this thing out. The worst pain ever. I came through, I don't know how long it was or whatever, and I looked up and they're all standing there all worried. I'm like, all right, what's the next step? Like nothing. You just move forward. I knew what I had to do. Told them how I wanted it done. This is how it's going to be done. And that's it. I was telling the doctor how to do it because he didn't know how. I'm not saying that I know more than a doctor, but I know my body more than a doctor. So that's how that brutal honesty kind of comes into play when it's not really being honest. You know what I mean? I don't know how to explain it, but hopefully you guys understand what I'm trying to say. And the part about me telling stories and giving examples and telling how I dealt with things and how I deal with things and how my life is because of the situations I've been through isn't any different than most of you guys out there. It just isn't any different than most of you guys out there. Yes, the situations are different. Yes, the outcomes may have been different. But what I mean by it isn't different is the thought process and the way you're thinking and the down times that you've gone through and the positive things that you're gonna see on the other side. It's just my way of explaining and telling you that it's gonna be okay.